Crafternoon, everyone. I'm Gina from Gina K Designs, and it's great to see all of you coming in from all around the world. Today, we pick up our Master Layout series, and we're doing a deep dive into Master Layout 17. Now, if you're new to our Master Layout series, the Master Layouts die sets are different sets of dies that help you create layers for different size cards. You can mix them and match them together to create new combinations and new layouts, and they are super helpful for anybody that has trouble cutting those perfectly tiny little edges, the little black shadow layers that go around the panels. This makes it so much easier when you use your die cutting machine and your Master Layouts dies. So we're going to be focusing on Master Layout 17 today. And if you are new to the concept and to the series, you could go to my YouTube channel. It's called Gina K Designs-Stamp TV, or just type Gina K on YouTube and it'll come right up. And go to the Playlists tab, and it'll be one of the playlists there, and you can see all 16 videos that we did before this one, and we have 3 more to do after this one, 18, 19, and 20. All right, well, before we get started with today's video, let's say hello to Tom. Hey, Tom.
Happy Crafternoon, everybody. Hey, wow,
Hey.
Talk about a deep dive. You are really out there this week, huh?
I know. 4th live this week. 4 lives in 1 week.
Wow, yeah.
I was up late last night working on this one, wasn't I?
Not coming up for air at all.
No. Tom texted me at 1 o'clock in the morning and said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yep, I just wrapped up the Master Layouts layout sheets, and I'm doing great." But it's been a fun week. We went live with scrapbook.com. We went live with Scrapbook and Cards today. We did our regular Tuesday night live. And here we are wrapping up our week of lives with a Master Layouts series. Yes, series video. All right. Well, Tom, everybody's going to ask, do you have a word of the day for later?
I have a phrase of the day.
A phrase of the day. Oh, we like the phrases. They're fun. They're very fun.
Yeah,
All right.
a little different angle on this one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
I wonder if angles a play on words. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. Well, shall we show the binder and get started? All right. So for those of you that are just starting your series and you would like to play along with making your own binders, you can see behind me I have 2 binders here that are already full, Master Layouts 1 through 6 and Master Layouts 7 through 12. This binder is for Master Layouts 13 through 18, and then the next one is going to be 19 through 24. So that means I have to design 4 more Master Layout sets, which I think we could do that. That will be fun for down the line. But each of these binders, these are the 1.5-inch binders, and I got mine at Walgreens. You can get them anywhere. It's a clear binder. It's a white binder with a clear sheet area where you can put a document in here, and this cover sheet is available on the downloads section on our blog. So if you go to ginakdesigns.com and click on the blog tab, you will see templates and charts. Click on that, and the first post is all of the master layout sheets that you can download, and it also has the cover sheet here. And once again, this little code here, this little QR code, you just hold your phone up to that and it'll take you right to that page. Every time we do a new Master Layouts video, you can use your QR code to go right to the downloads page and download the next couple of sheets. All right, so like all of the Master Layout sets, there's a sizing sheet and there is an idea sheet. And then we make our we call these, thanks to Yaya, one of our members of our group, we call these our try cuts. These are just put together little panels that we can try things out before we actually go through all the work of cutting them. And then we have all of the different layouts that are full size so we can look at them and try things with them to see how they work. Well, now Master Layouts 17 was designed specifically for A6 cards. Now let me show you, before we get into the binder part of this, let me show you the different size cards and where an A6 card falls into place. All right, so here is our traditional A2 size card, right? This is our traditional card that most of the card makers here in the US make. We make this. It takes a quarter sheet of cardstock to do anything on the front, and a half a sheet of cardstock either cut this way on 8.5 by 11 or this way, which would be, you know, a tent style horizontal card. So you just cut a piece of 8.5 by 11 cardstock in half to make an A2 card. Now this is a 5 by 7 card, right? So you can see how much bigger a 5 by 7 card is. And a 5 by 7 card will take one full sheet of cardstock to make the card base. You'll have leftovers that you can use for other things, but this is the size of the 5 by 7. I'm going to zoom in just a little bit more here, just so that we can really see where all of this fits in. So we'll do it this way so I'm not in the way. So A2, 5 by 7. Now we've already gone over all the master layouts, well, a lot of the master layouts that work with these two sizes. We've also done our mini slimline. So mini slimline cards are the size of a check envelope. You know, when you write a small check and there's check envelopes that go for no extra postage, that's what this size is. This is the mini slimline. And we have a master layouts for this one, which is master layouts 7. For this one, master layouts 8 and 20. And all the other master layouts work with A2. But of course, they also work with these other ones too, because there's no reason why you couldn't take this from master layouts 7 and use it for a 5 by 7 or use it for an A2 card. So there's lots of mixing and matching that can go on. Please excuse my Band-Aid. I burned myself cooking over the weekend, and it's healing, but I don't want to expose it and get it infected. So sorry for the Band-Aid. Next week, this Band-Aid will be gone. Now we also have a large slimline card, which is the regular slimline. So you can see the regular slimline fits into a business envelope. This is the size envelope that all your bills and statements come in. And this also will mail for just the price of a stamp, which is kind of cool that these can mail for just the price of a stamp. Now, I'm not sure about 5 by 7. Somebody out there is going to tell me whether or not we can do this for just the price of a regular stamp. But these are the 4 that we've already gone over, and Master Layouts 10 is the one that coordinates with these large slimline cards. Now, let's look at a A6 card. So an A6 card is smaller than a 5 by 7, larger than an A2, about the same height as a mini slimline, shorter and wider than a slimline. So let's move these out because slimlines we're kind of done with for a little while, and you can see. So this falls right in between, right? Now what people really like about this size card, I know a lot of our European friends, UK friends, Australian friends, you guys use this size more than you use this size. And a lot of you like this size because it doesn't feel super big, right? Almost anything that's designed for A2 will work for an A6, except maybe these types of layers. But there's more room to write inside. There's more room to use some of our bigger designs without cutting too much off. It just feels like a little bit more of a substantial card. Okay, so Barbara said she made all of her Christmas cards A6. People really do. Oh, there's no extra postage for 5 by 7. Thank you, Diane. I appreciate that. So all of the cards that I showed you so far, no extra postage. Now, I don't know if there's extra postage for this one or not. I feel like there's not, because I feel like this is almost the size of a regular card that you would buy, like a Hallmark or, you know, one of those kinds of cards. So it's just a little bit bigger, and it gives you a little bit more of a palette to work with. And people really like that. did somebody say something about A5? I don't know if there's an A5. Would just ask if this was our A5. Gina, I don't know if this is an A5 or not. I'll tell you the size of the card base that we use for this. It's 4.5 by 6.25. Now I know that I've seen UK measurements are a little bit different. They're not extra. Oh, Anne said there's no extra postage for an A6 either. That's awesome. You know, I don't necessarily know because I put so much stuff on my cards, including thick embellishments, that I'm always walking them into the post office and just handing them and to the postal worker, and then they weigh it and they, you know, it's always thick. So I never really know. But if you make all these cards without embellishments and without too many layers, they all go for the price of a postage stamp. That's awesome. Okay, so the UK version or European version might be a little bit thinner and maybe just a little bit longer, but you definitely could use this layout for those cards as well. Okay, so an A5 is 6 by 8. Wow, that's a big card, right? Because 5 by 7 is kind of big. So a 6 by 8, that's really big. So I don't have any master layouts for 6 by 8 yet. But hey, you never know, maybe down the line. We do have envelopes for A6 cards. I'm not sure if they're still in stock right now, but you can check on our website, and if they're not in stock, that means they've been reordered and they will be back in stock soon. But we have envelopes for all of the different sizes, except we don't have the slim line, just because they're so readily available. You know, any envelope you can do. Once in a while during the holidays, we do like special colors, like we'll do reds and greens in some of these, and I'll see what we can come up with this year. Okay, so let's get into this. Now, here we have our A2 versus a A6 card in a vertical format. But you can also do these in horizontal, and you can see the difference in the sizes with the horizontal and how that looks too. So just a little meatier, right? These cards just have a little more meat on their bones. And I like them, and I don't make them enough. So I'm excited to make a few cards today. Now let's go back to the binder. I just wanted to show you all of those. And I did want to show you these two cards. I'll actually take pictures of these two and make sure they get into the mix with our... on Facebook, we have a section in our Facebook group called Guides. And in the Guides section, I have all of the master layouts, idea sheets, sizing sheets, and all of the cards I made for each video, all grouped together. It's very easy to organize it there. And if you just click on Guides, you'll see them all. And that makes it very easy for you guys to find the inspiration. Okay. So now let's go back to the binder. So this is what Master Layout 17 looks like. It's got 6 dies in it. It's got a small panel that layers on top of this one to give you the little shadow layer. This is stitched. You've got the large panel here that has the stitching that makes that perfect layer, so your card base is framed out really nicely. And that goes on this one. That will give you the shadow layer. Then I decided to do a window in this. And this window is nice because it does allow you to use it in one of two ways. You can either pop it in the middle of the card like this, and then just add your greeting and florals or birds or whatever you want to add. Or you can put the window up a little bit higher and it leaves room at the bottom for you to stamp your greeting. Okay? And then this little part here is actually an extra piece that creates a windowsill here that you can actually raise up if you want. So you could put that on with foam squares, or you can lay it flat, but it just gives a little piece that goes across, kind of like a ledge if you wanted to do little potted plants along there or anything like that. Okay, So let's take a look at the sizing sheet. Now, each master layouts set has a download, and I do them in the order that I'm doing the book. So, you know, next video will be master layouts 18. But we do a sizing sheet. So this is just kind of a replica of the packaging, but you have it here in front of you in your binder, and it has all of the sizes. So if you're trying to figure out, oh, I have this other die, is that going to fit? Or I have these flowers, is that going to work with the window? You'll be able to see how big that window is, and then you can kind of sketch it out in your mind. Then here are my tri-cuts. I always put my tri-cuts in the pocket. I just put them in a stamp pocket, and then I just make a little label and I slip them in here, so that this way, if I wanted to mix and match different master layout sets together, I could take the tri-cuts from here, or I could take the tri-cuts from this set, and I could see, will this fit into one of these easily? It allows me to really do mixing and matching. And then I came up with this idea sheet with 4 different layouts that you can create just using the dies in this pack. Now, one of them I'm very partial to. It's this one right here. It can be done 2 ways. You can either layer these panels together and then pop this element on there, or you can make it recessed and make it mimic some of the frame dies that we have in Master Layouts 18 and 20, but it will fit on your A6 card. Then this is a really nice layout too. It can be, you know, perfect grounding panel here to add a floral design, and then you can also add a greeting in here. Lots of ways to use this, or you can grab a circle or an oval or something from one of the other master layout sets and pop it in the center there. And then, of course, we have the basic window. Now, I've actually made these cards, and I wanted to pull this out so you can see them a little bit better. And remember, every layout, except maybe this one, can also be used horizontally. So you could do something like this. You could line it up a little bit better. When I lined it up this way. But if I were going to line it up this way, I'd be able to center it a little better, depending on which way you like it. Also, this is kind of cute to do the window upside down because it makes it look like a little valance. And what I was thinking last night when I was laying this out, I was thinking if I flipped it around, I could cut some vellum and hang vellum on here like it was sheer curtains, right? Wouldn't that be so cute? Little sheer curtains over, and then just block off the top of the vellum with this little extra piece that comes in here like a valance, and that's where you could hide all of your taping the vellum on. So I thought that would be kind of cute to do a little vellum curtain idea. So these are actual size. So now you can take some of your bits and pieces that you have, and you can see how they would look if you laid them out using some bits and pieces that you have, right? So you could see if you like that look on the window. Oh, do I like that? Or do I want my flowers to be like down here on the windowsill? Maybe add another one in there. So this allows you to check things first before you go through the trouble of cutting. Because if I looked at that and I said, yeah, I like that, but I think I want to do a mini slimline instead, I could grab my binder with the mini slimline and look at some of those layouts and see how they would look based on these designs that I already cut out and have in my binder. All right, this one, same thing. I'm using these stamps just because I think that they match kind of nicely, these die cuts. This is from our Wildflower Stems embossing folder, which has been reordered, but you could put that there and then do some sort of greeting right in here. You could also do a much bigger floral design, or you could do something like a Christmas card on this and do like have the Christmas lights going up here and then put a big Christmas greeting. You could also do something like, you know, have flowers here and then have a bird on there, and then add your greeting down here at the bottom. I always like the way the birds look sitting in the window too. I always think that that looks so cool with flowers on either side. It's always so pretty. So these are a couple of layouts, definitely ideas that you can do with this master layout set. Now here are two more ideas that I really like. I like this one. It can be used in either direction. So here I have it taped right to the card, and then this one I have popped up with foam squares to give it dimension. You could also flip that around and have this one with the, you know, that kind of puffed out a little bit. And then, let me see, I've got so many pieces in here. So many things that I could use. Also, you could do it this way, and you could have like a bike image there. You could put the bike image here if you want and pop it up down here on the wheels. And this is just kind of a cool layout. And then you could add your greeting up here and then do a little bit of stenciling, maybe add a little floral design in there. Maybe over here, color in your bike. You know, so lots of different ways that you can mix and match these together. I like that layout. I think that would be super fun. All right, and then this one is the one that I was telling you about. I'm going to pull this out of here. I don't know how easy it'll be to get it back in, but we can struggle with that later. But take a look at this. So like I said, you could just do this panel and then take one of these and pop it up in the center and use that as a grounding panel for flowers or whatever. But look how cool it looks when you turn it into like a shadow box frame. That's what I did with this. I actually cut out this hole with the die that makes the black layer. And then I just popped in the white layer, and that created the white and black layer. However, it's popped up, so that gives us more dimension. So then if we like to do those dimensional cards where, you know, it looks like a shadow box and then you can drop something in there. You can also drop an image in there. So it would look like a little shadow box with that image just kind of down inside the shadow box. These are also really cute for shaker cards. So if you wanted to do this, you could put a piece of acetate behind the top layer, and then you could do a little scene in here and then turn it into a shaker card, and it would shake with all the little sequins. So I really like this shadow box idea, and plus it still has that delicate stitching going around the outside, and then this panel makes it have the stitching on the inside. So a little bit different. Yes, I will definitely demonstrate this one if this one's confusing to you. I think it would be a good one because a lot of these are very self-explanatory, but this one might be a little tricky. So why don't we do that one first? Okay, now I do want to tell you about cutting the card base for this. And I actually added the instructions into the idea sheet so that you would know, because a lot of times I see in our Facebook group people will say, how do I make a card base for a 5x7? I can't seem to figure it out. Or how do I make a card base for an A6? So here it says, this die set was designed to create A6 cards. The US A6 measures 4.5 inches by 6.25 inches. You can achieve this by cutting your cardstock 9 inches by 6.25 inches and scoring it at the 4.5 inch mark. So there's your instructions. You don't have to worry about it. Just download this, get it into your binder, and you won't have to remember all the different sizes, you know, for this particular card anyway. All right, so let's start with this so I can show you how easy this is to create. This is A6, so this is 4.5 by 6.25. All right, let's start by making our card base. Well, I don't know why I'm going to start with the card base. That doesn't make sense. I don't even know what colors I'm doing yet. Let's start with just some cardstock. So I'm going to cut out a white panel. just at the 5.5-inch mark. So I'm going to use a half a sheet of cardstock for this. Now I'm going to get my die cutting machine out. And I will, at the end of this series, I am going to create a document for all of you that tells you the size of each card, which master layouts works with those sizes, and exactly how you cut your card base to make it all work. The bicycle stamp is from our vintage summer collection. And that just came back in stock, believe it or not. Okay, so let's see here. Let me get my dies. So here are the two big dies for this, and you can see that they are pretty substantial. All right, I'll cut the big die first, and I'm going to cut the stitched one, and I am going to angle it just a little bit because I want to make sure that it goes through easily. And I do have the machine a little bit tight. Sometimes these big dies, they take a little bit of extra pressure to cut them out. And then we can always flip it if we have to. That looks good. I'll keep this for something else. All right, so there we have our big panel. All right, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna create the center opening on this panel. Now I like to use Masking Magic strips for this. Let me find one of my bigger strips. You can use whatever you want to use. If you want to use pixie tape or whatever, just make sure that whatever tape you're using isn't going to tear your paper once you get all that die cut machine pressure on it. Let me grab the rest of the dies out of here. Let me pull them all out so I don't lose any. Okay, that's all the dies. So now we have these two dies that when put together create that smaller panel. What we're going to do is we're not going to use the stitched one. We're going to use the layer that goes behind the stitched one. So that's the plain one. And we're going to line that up so that it looks centered. And then I'm going to use a piece of Masking Magic here. These have seen better days. I have used these so many times. We need some strong Masking Magic for a master layouts video. All right, and I'm going to make sure that it looks centered to me. It looks pretty good. One thing that I will say though, before you commit, if you are going to use your card this way, make sure that you put your die on looking at it this way, because it could be just a little bit toward the top or the bottom and you're not going to notice it that much, but if you flip it, you'll really notice that it's off center. Okay, so now I'm going to cut this out. And then I can save this white piece for a greeting or anything else. I got lucky there. It did look right, but it doesn't always look right. Okay, and then I'm going to peel this off gently. Okay, so now I have the hole in the center. This I'll save for a greeting or something else that I want to stamp and die cut. Now, I'm going to take another piece of white cardstock. Let me see if I have a smaller one here. Well, here's one that was left over from one of the other Master Layouts videos. I'll just use this. And I'm going to cut out this one that has the stitching. Okay? So I'm going to cut it on an angle. It just cuts better when you cut it on an angle. Get that cut out. Okay. You know, I didn't even think to line this up because this was a leftover from another Master Layout set. I don't even know which one. I'd have to go through and figure it out, but that would have been a good frame to use for something else too, huh? You know, live and learn, right? Okay, now let's just take a peek at this so you could see what's going to happen here. This is going to fit right in here, but it's going to leave a border. See how that leaves a border? My desk is showing through. It leaves a nice little border. So whatever color you have behind there is going to become the shadow layer. So you don't have to worry about, you know, cutting the shadow layer and stuff like that. That's going to already make the shadow layer. Now we're going to cut the black panels for this card. And there's only going to be the one black panel, which is going to be, let me get this out of the way. It's going to be the plain die. We cut the white one out of the stitch die, and now we're going to use the plain die, which is going to create our shadow layer. So I will need to cut a piece of black cardstock here because I don't have one big enough. I have lots of little bitty scraps. Okay. I'm going to turn that just a tiny bit and cut that. Okay. Try to read all your comments while I'm cutting. So now we have our shadow layer that's going to fit perfectly with this one that we just created. You see that? How that lines up? Okay.
Question, is there some place that they can get the measurements of the items in Master Layout 17 if they don't have it right now?
Yeah, you can go on the website. All of the measurements are also on the product page. So when you type in Master Layout 17, you'll get a tiny little image that says Add to Cart. But if you click on the image, it'll take you to the product page, and that gives you a full description of what's inside the package. And all of the measurements, the same information that is on the sheet that we created together, will be on the website too. So you can look at any of the master layout sets and find out what the sizes are that way. Okay, now I'm zooming in a little bit. Now what I'm going to do here is I want to create a shadow box, right? So I want this to be popped up. So you could do a couple of different things. You could try to cut a bunch of these so that they're cut in exactly the same spot, and you might be able to. I mean, really, you could make one, right? And then for the next one that you would cut, you would just use one of them as the guide space, right? And just drop it into that hole. You would just sacrifice one to be the guide, and then you'd cut them all out, just line up the perimeters, and then you could get them all cut out evenly. And you could stack them to get them up higher. But I'm going to do what I did for that sample. I'm going to use our shaker strips. These are foam strips that are great for shaker cards because it makes it very easy. You know, you can just go right down the whole side of something. So that's what I'm going to use. I'm going to use shaker strips. So I'm going to do a shaker strip on the outside edge. And then I am going to trim this down. So let me get my scissors and just trim it down a little bit. And you can always use these as foam squares. They are twice the height of our regular foam squares. So if you wanted to pop up one flower a little higher than the other, you can use the shaker strips. Then I'm going to put one on the other side here. Just on the outside. Okay. Now I'm also going to put some along this edge. And you could go all the way to the edge if you want. It's totally up to you. What's nice about these is it does, if you want to go to the edge, you can. You just go like to the edge like that. And then just slip your scissors so that the pair of scissors butts up against the last one. And then you can cut it like that. And that'll kind of miter it in there perfectly if you want to do that. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to add a strip close to the edge here. This way this shaker box isn't going to like kind of sink in. So I'm going to do one more row of strips closer to the inside. All right, there's one. And two. And that'll keep it nice and puffy, right? It's not going to sink. Now, if you were making this a shaker card, you would have put your acetate down first, right? You would tape your acetate on there and then add all of these shaker strips. Let's put one here. I'll just trim that down a little bit. And we'll do one more. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see all of you here today. You're probably sick of my face. I've been on so much this week, but appreciate you all making the effort to be here. You're all so supportive and so much fun. Okay. So you can see this is pretty easy to do, right? It's not that hard to do. And these shaker strips do make it a lot easier. Now, when you put this down here onto this, it's all popped up nice and high. And what's nice about the shaker strips is they look so clean on the inside. You see that? It's just so clean because it's just one long strip. Same on the sides. It looks so nice. Then all the little... That used to drive me nuts, you know, all the little piecemealed foam squares. I really do love our shaker strips. All right, and they're also very easy to peel off the liners. Now I'll say that and I won't be able to peel them off. You know how that goes, right? It's like when you tell somebody, oh yeah, my kid's really good, and meanwhile they're like breaking something in the other room. 1 star.
Will you ever make black shaker strips?
We used to have black foam squares, but my understanding is that they, right now, the climate isn't good for where we were getting those. The tariff was going to be too much. So right now we're just going to make them in white. But I will tell you something, okay? If you want this to be black, all you have to do is, before you put this down, before you even take these little liners off, just take a Copic marker and color that right in. Just color it with a black marker right along the edge of the shaker strips. They're really easy to color. You can just take it. Let's find a, do I have a black Copic marker? I should.
You can use a Sharpie.
You could use a Sharpie, yeah. Use a Sharpie. But all you have to do is just take your marker and just color. Oh, mine is dry. Use a Sharpie. I need a new black one. But I mean, you could do that in any color. Like maybe you have a purple card base, you know, and you just want the side to match the card base. Just color the sides of your foam and you won't even see it then, right? So you could just do that to the 2 sides. And then when you put it on your cardstock, I don't think I have any purple cardstock close by. Do I? Do I have a? Here's one. You know, and if you stuck that onto your cardstock, then it would blend in so nicely on the side. So that's kind of one way to get around it. Just run a Sharpie marker or a Copic marker, an Olo marker, any alcohol marker will do it. Okay. All right, so now I got to stand right over this and get my head in the way, so I apologize for that. But I am just going to lay this on top and line up the shadow layers. There we go. Okay. So now I've got that nice little shadow layer going around the outside. Now I'm going to drop this in. My camera is tilted ever so slightly, so if I tilt the card up the way it would look flat against the camera, you can see it looks pretty even. But the way the camera's up there, it's just tilted ever so slightly. Okay, And now this, I'm actually going to stick directly into here. So I'm going to go all around the perimeter here just to make sure that it doesn't, you know, buckle at all. Get close to the edge. And then I'm going to lay that in there so that it looks fairly even, hopefully. Pretty good. Good enough. Better than horrible, right? Okay. And then I can put whatever I want in there. I could stick the bike in there, have that riding. I can have different things. You can also wood grain around this and make this frame look wood grained. You could put a photograph in here if you want. So lots of different ways to use this. Okay, so let's do, let's make a real simple little, maybe a little holiday card or something, because I have some of that sitting around. I have some holiday stuff left over. Also, also I have this. Wouldn't this be pretty? You could like put that over it and then you would have the opening in the background. I think that would be really pretty. We could do that and put a Christmas greeting on it and make it super simple. I think that would be really nice. Why don't we do that? Now, remember, this is down here, right? That's like really sunk in. If I use foam squares, it's going to sink down in the center. So I'm going to use the same shaker strips and I'm just going to cut them into the right sizes. And I'm just going to put those shaker strips in the center of this. I'm trying to use just bits and pieces that I have so I don't have to actually, you know, make a whole bunch of elements today.
Carole said your ink cubes should work to add color to the strip, right?
Well, our ink cubes are water-based, so it might. The thing about water-based ink is sometimes it will rub off if it's put on something that isn't super, super porous. And so I would double check it first before you commit to that because it could rub off on the sides. That's the only thing that I think could be an issue with that. Okay, let's get this tiny one here. I knew I'd find a use for this tiny. But you could try it. You know, I never like to say, nope, that's not going to work on anything that I haven't already tried. I just tend to use things like Copics or Sharpies because I know they're permanent ink. But if that works, let us know because that would be great. Then it could be the exact color of the cardstock and that would totally rock. Okay. So, I think that will work. I'm going to put something right under there too, just to hold that up. You know, you have to be careful where you put these because you don't want to put them too close to the edge or they will pop up. Okay, and something right there too. All right. So that looks good. And then I'm going to put a little Christmas greeting on here. And this is going to be a very plain and simple card. Now you could always take this frame and run it through an embossing folder, like one of our simple embossing folders that just has a texture, just to give the frame a little texture, especially for a holiday card, like our Petite Flourish would be so nice. You could also wood grain it before you do this. Or you could stencil on it before you cut it and just add a little bit of light wispy stenciling just to give it a little more interest. But today we're going to be super plain, clean and simple. Okay, so here we go. Let's figure out where this can go. I think that will look, this will look good right there. There we go. Okay. And then we just need a Christmas greeting to add to that. I don't know that I have a Christmas greeting cut out, but I'll cut one out. That's not a problem. So let's use a really pretty Christmas greeting. I'm going to grab one from over here. So just give me a sec. I'll use one of these from our holiday floral. And I think I'll just do traditional Merry Christmas. Then we'll pick the perfect card base color, which is either going to be like a coral reef, or we could try it with Christmas pine and see how that looks too. All right, so I'll stamp this in black. I think my next order of business before we get to our next master layouts videos is to make a whole bunch of new elements, because you guys are probably sick of seeing the same flowers and greetings on all of my cards. But if you have any of those flowers or greetings, you're certainly getting lots of ideas on how to use them, right? Okay, so I'll get some black onyx. I love this set. This is Holiday Floral. Comes in a stamp set, a coordinating die set, coloring stencils, and polyglaze, so you can actually do the greeting, you know, in gold sparkle, gold foil, which would match this because this was done with the gold foil. So that'd be so pretty. And I did put our sparkle gel on top of that just so that you guys could see what that looks like. Okay. But for the sake of this card and not getting all the foiling stuff out today, we will just do it in black ink, and it will be better than horrible. Hey, shout out to Brianne Loveland. Hey, Brianne, how are you? Thank you so much. I did many lives this week, and 2 of them you were not there, and people were looking for you. People were like, Brianne, can you link? They were asking Brianne on other lives if she could link products that they were looking for. And, you know, I get it because she's so helpful. So if you're looking for anything today, the way Brianne does it is anything that I use, whatever I show you or talk about, she'll just pop the link in the chat on YouTube. And this way, if you're looking for it and you don't want to go searching on the website, you can just use that link. All right, so let's cut this. You can see I haven't even cleaned the die since the last time I used it. Pop that little piece out. There we go. A little bit of sparkle. I was doing something with gold foil there.
Kathleen wants to know, where can we get sparkle gel?
So the sparkle gel was part of our holiday kit. It was a free gift with the purchase of the kit. And then during our August release, which is going to be on Tuesday, August 26th, the sparkle gel will go into our regular inventory and you will be able to get it. So mark your calendar for August 26th and the sparkle gel will be available. And then we've got some exciting news that in our Christmas release, which is always September, we do have a couple other colors of the sparkle gel coming. So it's very fun. So how do you click the link without coming out of the live? It takes me out. You know, I don't know. I know some people have their browser set up that a new window pops up when you click a link. And I don't know how to set anything up like that. I just know that that can happen sometimes. I actually think this would have looked better in red or green. But we'll do this and it'll play off the black. It'll be fine. But if you're making one, test it out with like Christmas pine ink or even that coral reef, because that's the color I used on this, and see how that looks. I guess you could actually copy the link out of the chat. If you're on a computer, you can copy links really easily, just like highlight over it, and then you could open another window and drop the link in that way. All right, so I'm just going to tape this right over this design, and then we'll make the card base for it. So you could use Connect Glue here, but for saving some time, I will just tape it on there. I'll just put it right over here. Oh, I think that's pretty. Remember, these are just practice cards today. These are just ideas. Now let's take a look here. We have, where's Coral Reef? Here it is. So this is Coral Reef cardstock. It's a little orangey. And then we've got Christmas Pine. That is pretty though. We've got Christmas Pine. Now the problem, now I like the pine, and I know a lot of you are going to say the pine because it looks more Christmassy. The problem with the pine though is you don't see the black edge at all. And the black edge really does make a difference when wanting to see, you know, the whole shaker box or the shadow box. So I think I'm going to go with the Coral Reef. And just because it's a little non-traditional too, and I think that that's kind of fun. So let's cut this card base together, and I'll show you how to do it. So we're going to cut this at the 9-inch mark. Let me put my glasses on so I can see the 9-inch mark. We're going to cut it at the 9-inch mark. And then we're going to turn it and cut it at 6 1/4 inches, which I think is right there. Okay. I need a big square paper cutter because a lot of the cuts that I do are right on the break and it's hard to see. But this is going to be just fine. Now I'll get my scoring board and we're going to score this at 4 1/2 inches. So 4 1/2 inches is half of 9. So this should work. If not, I got to remake my document. Okay. Welcome to our new friends. I see a lot of new people chiming in saying that they're new to Gina K Designs and maybe new to the YouTube channel. Well, we'd like to send a special shout out to all of our newbies. Welcome. You're going to find that people in the chat here are super helpful. And then, of course, we love our repeat offenders too. We appreciate you guys so much for being here week after week. And I see Mindy Egan is here. Hey, Mindy. I just shared one of your cards on Instagram and Facebook yesterday. If you don't know Mindy, Mindy does a lot of work with us as a designer. She creates beautiful cards. And you can find her YouTube channel, Mindy Egan Designs. All right, now I'm going to add a little sparkle to this. I feel like we need a little bit of something here. So do I use black or do I use gold? Now I think if I had done the greeting in gold foil, I would use gold. But because I did the greeting in black, I actually feel like I need more black. So a little bit of black embellishment in here, I think is going to just really add a little something. Wouldn't you guys agree? Doesn't that look cute? This is our little fun community. We all hang out. I like that. That's just so... Let's do one more up here. See how that looks, and then maybe one down here. Too many? I don't think so. I used white pearls in my last video on Tuesday night, And boy, I haven't used those in a while, and are they ever elegant and pretty, especially when you're doing something like a wood grain or a, you know, a monochromatic thing. Oh, they're so pretty. Just those plain white pearls. I have seen people color them with alcohol markers, but I honestly don't know if I would take the time to do that. I think I would just buy embellishments and colors that I like. That seems time consuming. Said the girl who just colored the sides of her foam tape, shaker strips, but you know, that seems different to me. Okay, there we go. All right. So what do you think of that? That turned out cute, right? And it's just that bigger size card, you know, when you put that up against those smaller cards. Grab a smaller one here. You put that up against that smaller size card. That's just a meatier card. We could definitely, like, everybody in the family can sign it, right? Now, the one problem that you will have is you will be unable to do a top fold card with this style because you would need, let's see, it would have to be, this is 6 1/4. You would have to have bigger than 12 by 12 paper to do that. So I would suggest that for these bigger cards, just make the side fold card. You know, I'll tell you a funny story. When I first started making cards for my mom, I made her a card like this. And she was like doing this, like she could not figure out how to open the card. Because every card that you buy in the grocery store or at the pharmacy or whatever, they're all side fold cards like this. She could not figure out how to open it. And I'm like, Mom, it opens from the bottom. And she was like, oh, why did you do that? She didn't like that because that wasn't a traditional card. For her, a traditional card opened like a book. So I don't think anybody wouldn't like a side fold card. You could make it top fold horizontally, of course you could. But if I wanted to do this layout, I couldn't. So, you know, if you're going to do a vertical card, you're going to have to do a side fold for it. But that's okay. I like it. I do it for my 5x7s. I do it for my slim lines. I even do it for my mini slim lines, so it won't matter to me to have to do it side fold. All right, you could do, okay, what you could do is you could do a top fold card if you wanted to. And what you would have to do is you would have to cut 2 panels. You would cut one panel that measures, want me to show you? It's a little trick. Okay, I'll show you. So let's just pick a color cardstock. I know, let's pick, for a change, one of these. Okay, this is sea glass. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut one panel, 6 1/4. Should I do it that way or should I do it this way? No, I'll do it this way. 6 1/4 by 4 1/2. Okay, and then we're going to cut this to 4 1/2. This might not be an even cut. Remember I told you guys I always get all the misshapen things? Okay, so 4 1/2. And then instead of 6 1/4, go to 7 1/4. Okay, and then what you can do is you could take your scoring board and you can score it at 1 inch. Like that. And fold that over. And then you can layer these two together here with some tape. I would use a better, like a glue, or maybe like the Terrific tape by Gina K Designs, or if you have score tape or red line tape for this. to just put it in there like that. Then on the inside, you could do something decorative here. This is not decorative that I'm talking about, but if you had a little border die, you could put it in there. Or you could just layer a whole plain piece of white, which would be really nice too. Let me do that for you. Get a little white piece. Let me get a white piece. I did my nails and I always struggle when I'm trying to grab things. Okay, so we could cut out one of these panels and put it in there, and then it would just have a little area showing, but we can do 6 1/4 by 4 1/2, and we can just upholster the inside of that card with that white card base, and then you could do it that way. So this way, if you definitely wanted to have a top fold card and you can't stand it for whatever reason, you need it, might be, you know, even if you design cards and you like to take pictures of them standing up, you could definitely do that this way. Let's just pull that down just a little bit. Sometimes it's easier to just line it up like that. My cutting could have been better, but I can trim that tiny little bit off the bottom. There we go. So, there you go. Top fold card. Yes, you could print a verse on the inside from your printer. You're right, and just stick that in there too. So that's just like a little cheat code for top fold cards when they're bigger. But honestly, I don't mind a book style card. Okay, so let's try a window card. Let's make a little window card here, and why don't we wood grain it? All right, before we do the window, we'll do a little wood graining. So for those of you that haven't tried wood graining yet, it's going to be super fun. Alrighty, now I did like wood graining on this one in actual like wood tone colors. This one I'm going to do more of a whitewash tone. So for that, I'm going to get some soft stone ink, and I'm going to just take my soft stone ink using the top little edge. I'm just going to go down the cardstock like this, and it just gives it that really pretty kind of whitewashed wood look. Now we can add the little lines in there just by tilting, doing this, just tilting in a little bit. We can get like more of the lines in there. Like that, and make it look more like real wood.
Question from Sarah, will the sparkle gel be available in bigger pots?
No, we're going to stick to that size just because it's very economical for customers to have lots of colors at the smaller size. It's a 2 ounce. And the other thing about that is what we find is sometimes those bigger pots, you can't use them fast enough and then they dry out. So it wouldn't be any more cost effective to do it in the bigger pot because we have them priced the absolute best price that we can. And this way you can always be assured to have really fresh product. So we're going to stick with that size. So if you wanted twice the amount, it really does make sense to get 2 pots of it and then not open one until you've used the other one. This way it won't dry out. Okay, so now I'm going to use this window die. Put the window die.
Debbie would like to know, can you wood grain with ink cubes?
Yes, you definitely can. Ink cubes are really good to wood grain with because they're like the size of a plank of wood. So it almost makes that little edge anyway. My daughter Rena has a video on wood graining with ink cubes. She's Rena K Designs. because she stole my name. So the sparkle gel is a holographic clear gel. Let's see, did that cut all the way through? I think it did, yep. Just dropped right out. Okay, so isn't that pretty? Now we can go back over that. If we think we need a little bit more over here, I'll show you how to do that. This is the sparkle gel right here. And basically what it is it's a clear gel that has lots of glitter in it. It's filled with glitter. And you put it over areas that you've ink blended, that you've colored. You can put it over colored cardstock, and it just creates that shine. You see the sparkle that's inside over the red parts? That's where I added the sparkle gel.
And question, will the sparkle gel be available to buy at your Canadian partner stores?
That we're not sure yet, just because we're trying to keep things priced as low as possible. And so we really have to look at how much it would have to be in order to be able to wholesale it. So we're not 100% sure on that yet. Now I'm going to add a little bit of a darker gray on this. So I've got some stormy sky here. I'm going to add a little bit more. I feel like it could use a little bit of a darker look. And it's kind of fun to do it when you have already cut it out, because it catches then at the top a little bit and it makes it look a little more aged. So that's kind of the mixing of the two colors there. That's pretty cool. Isn't that cool? I feel like that looks a little Tim Holtz-like, doesn't it? We love Tim. Now I think I'm going to add something else in here, just for fun. I'm going to add a tiny touch of sea glass, just to make it look a little bit aged. All right, just a little bit aged. Oh, that's too much. That's all right. Well, now we're in the Caribbean. That's really pretty, though. Isn't that pretty? It's going to dry up, and I think it's going to look good. So we're going to keep it. We're going to go with it. Okay? You never know what's going to happen when you do something live, right? Okay, now let's go ahead and cut out the rest of these panels. So we can do whatever we want. I think that's really pretty, and it looks great against the white. Don't you guys think? It just looks great up against the white. I love it. It's really pretty. So let's do it up against white. We will cut a panel using Master Layouts 17. We're going to use the big stitch die here. We'll do something fun and florally. Okay. Let's go ahead and run that through. You know, I cut out a whole bunch of these, and I don't know why I'm cutting them now. I cut out a ton of them, so I wouldn't have to cut them. But now I have an extra. So that's good, I guess. Let me get the die cutting machine out of here since I have them all cut already. Here they are. You can see how much neater this looks too in the wood grained versus here I just did it with plum punch. Now plum, it's pretty, right? But it's very flat, right? Compared to doing it this way. It's got all that, I don't know, it's got like energy about it or something. And you know what, I do have to grab the die cutting machine, but maybe I won't grab that one. Maybe I'll just take the little one here and we'll get the grippy mat for it.
Question from Debbie, is there any list that tells you what card base size is for each Master Layouts?
That's, I'm gonna do that. You may have missed that. I talked about that earlier. That I'm going to do a document at the end of the series that tells you which master layouts works with which size card, and then exactly how to cut the card base for each one of those master layouts. So did I throw away the wood grained piece that I had already done? I guess I did. Oh no, here it is. So we can use this now, and we can add a little bit of Stormy Sky in here. Like that. Let's see what that looks like. I don't know if I like that. I think I'm just going to go like that and see how that looks. We'll see. Well, maybe I will like this. I don't think I'm going to like that. I'm going to do this right here, and I'm going to add it after the fact. All right. So if you've never seen our mini intracut, I just love our mini intracut. It's so easy to use, especially when you're doing like little quick things like this. You can just pop them in. But the reason why I put it on the grip mat is because any little die cutting machine can be a little squirrely. And this just kind of grips it onto your table, and it makes it a lot easier to cut with. Okay. So now I think what I'm going to do, instead of doing what I thought I was going to do, I think I'm going to use a sponge dauber with some Stormy Sky ink. Let me get my ink stand. I'm making a mess without my ink stand. Brianne, link the ink stand. All right, so I'm going to use some Stormy Sky, and I'm going to use it with a sponge dauber instead of a blending brush, because I can really edge it so nicely with a sponge dauber. Just like that. Boy, this was an old technique from back in the day. If you're an older card maker like me that's been around for a while, this is what we had. This is what we had to do all our ink blending with. We didn't have blending brushes. And we did lots of antiquing around the edges of our cardstock. We did that instead of doing shadow layers so that it would stand out a little bit. So that would make a nice little windowsill there. And I feel like that kind of separates it out a little bit. Now, I am going to, I'm going to add just a tiny little bit of that sea glass, I think. Should I? Yeah, let's do it. I'll add a tiny little bit of that sea glass. It's going to be tough, though. There's not much to hold on to here. That looks good. Okay. Just a little aging. And we can pop that windowsill up. Now let me get all my pieces. I cut these out last night till 1 o'clock in the morning, and then I forgot that I had them all cut out, and here I am cutting them like a ding-dong. Okay. So I'm going to, ooh, you know what we could do, guys? We could put some clouds in this window. We could do clouds behind there. All right, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to show you a little way that we can do that a little more easily. See if it works. So I'm going to find my Masking Magic strips, and I want to find the big ones again. So I'm going to use the 1/2-inch strips. I don't know where I put the sheet that I was working with. It's got lost on my desk somehow. So I'm going to put one right here, and I'm going to put one right here. Okay, so let me get those on first. That's just my little guide for where I want them. Let's put one there. And then we're just going to put one right there. Okay. So that should cover my sides, and it will. Now I want to figure out where I want this to sit. Do I want to put it up here and have a greeting at the bottom? Or do I want to have it more centered? I think I'm going to do it more centered and just like pop the greeting right onto it. So then I'm just going to slip a masking magic strip right under there. And I'm going to slip one right under the bottom. Like right there. All right, and so that kind of blocks off my area, right? I'm just going to ink blend in the center here. Now I know that's hard to see, but you could probably see it if I turn it that way. Okay, so when I put my window on there, my clouds are just going to be in my window. They're not going to be on the rest of the cardstock. So let me find my stencil that I want to use. Oh, that could be a problem. Let me see if it's in here. You know, with these videos, I don't always know exactly what I want to do. And so that can definitely be an issue of organizing things, and nothing is organized. I organize things. I don't know if you guys do this too, but I organize stuff and then I end up not putting anything back, and then it all has to be reorganized again. Okay, so I don't know where the stencil is, so I'm going to just make something real quick. So we'll just do something out of a little scrap of paper here. I'm going to make a little... It's not going to be as easy to use, but we're going to do this, okay? And then I'm going to put a few little Post-it notes around the perimeter here, just so I don't go outside of it. This is really a hack job, but you know, that's what's fun, is we can be hack and have fun, right? We can be hack. We can definitely do this. I do love our stencil, but I don't know where it is. It's probably home, sitting on my home studio. Let's cover the whole thing. I want to be hack, but I don't want to be, I want it to be better than horrible. All right, so I'm just draping this off like I'm doing surgery. And then I'm going to take this brush. I don't know what's on it. It's a turquoise brush. It's got a little turquoise on here. So I'm just going to create a little...
Very fine line you're talking about there.
You see all the jagged edges?
No, the better than horrible, but not hack.
This is hack. This is not my good stencil, but it's going to be good enough. They'll get the idea. It is very hack. I don't know. It's okay. It's a little jagged. My clouds are a little jagged, but it'll work. Once you get the window on there and you get all the other stuff on there, you might not notice it quite as badly. I could have taken my time and cut that better too. But I mean, there has to be some funny stuff that happens, right? And then I'm just going to go over the whole thing just to make sure it's filled in. I can reuse these. Okay. And I can also reuse these. Definitely. Okay, so now I've got like a little cloudy background here. And we can put that on top, and that just gives us some clouds in the background. Oh, I don't know. You're all very sweet. I don't know. Okay, so let's layer this panel onto here. Sometimes you just gotta, you know, like what if I was out crafting with friends and I forgot my stencil? it's not very clean. If you look at some of my clouds that I've made with our cloud stencil, our sea, sun, and sky stencil, very different than what you just saw here. These clouds have angles, sharp edges. These are bad weather clouds coming. All right, and I'm going to pop this up then, and I'm going to use the shaker strips again because they worked so well for the last thing. So, and they're really a nice size for this as well. So funny. You guys know me. And you really do. I mean, we've been together for a long time. Well, I know you're being very nice saying they look perfect, but actually they look a little squared off. Square clouds. I don't think that's any more real than the square fish sandwich at McDonald's. Filet of square fish. Isn't that what you used to get, Tom?
Love the filet of square fish.
Okay, I think that's going to give us a good, nice raised frame there. It's going to be pretty. Okay, and then we also still have to put this on. So let's add that. Oh, thank you. I'm glad the realness works because I don't know how to be any other way, you know? All right. Now I still have to center it because, you know, that was a little bit kind of rough the way I laid that out, but I think this looks good enough. That looks pretty good. It's really pretty colors, isn't it? Don't look at the square clouds, but that's really pretty color window. It feels very beachy to me. Now I'm going to use some of our 1/4 inch foam squares to pop the ledge on. I think I'm going to do that. Let me just see what it looks like because it depends on what we're going to use here for this. Because if we're going to use like a floral design, let's see what I have in my bag of goodies here. I don't know what I have left. I should have something, some florally things. Let me dump it all out and we'll see what we have. I've made so many bits and pieces over the years that could work. This would be really pretty, wouldn't that? That would be very pretty. And then we could add an extra little thing of leafery over here. Let's see what else we have. Ooh, we have that too. That would be really pretty. Do you guys like that? I'm just picking bits and pieces from my all things that I've made in the past that I haven't used. But I think that's really pretty. Now it's just 2. Can we survive with just 2? I know that we're supposed to do it 3s, but I don't have a 3rd one that's like that. But what are they saying? They like it? You think it'll work? I think it'll work. Ooh, here's another little flower. That has like tape on it. I don't know what happened to that. We could stick that in there like that and hide that little mark. Then we have our 3. We can kind of tuck it back there because it's a little dirty. I don't know what happened to it, but that would work. So, yeah, why don't we just do that? I have this one too, but this one has the outline and none of these have the outlines. So I actually stamped this before I stenciled it, and these I just stenciled with no stamping. So let's go with this look. I think it's really pretty. It's elegant. It's soft. And yeah, I don't have anything else. I'm just picking through here. This is what we're going to do. Okay. So let's get this one under there. This must have like fallen off a card. It's got tape on it already. And if we hide it back here like this, I think that'll work. Okay, just hide that back there. And I'm going to put this right onto the window. I love this window. This is such a nice grounding panel for floral designs. We're just going to stick it right onto, we'll hide that mess there. And then we'll get this one over here. It's kind of how I had it, right? Pretty close, better than horrible. All right. We're going to go with it. I could put some, one of these little shaker strips under there. I could use the purple one that I colored. I don't think you'd see it. I'm gonna stick that right there. There we go. And then we'll add this little leafery under it right here. That's very pretty. Okay, I like it. We can turn that a little bit more like that. Wonder if I could erase that with a mono sand eraser. That's good enough. Okay, now we've got to find a little greeting. And I know I've got greetings in here. Oh, I like this one. Wouldn't that be pretty on that card? Just like that. We could move it up just a hair, maybe. I don't want to cover this part of the wood, though. I want people to be able to see that there's like 4 window panes there. That's really nice. We could also put it up here. That would be nice. We want to balance it, though. We don't want it to be like too high and then nothing in here. And I always like the way a greeting looks when it's like overlapping a little bit on the floral. So I think I'll do it like that. Now let's pick a card base color. Boy, the world is our oyster here. Here is Peach Bellini. That's what this color is. So we can look at that. That would be very pretty. That pulls that peach right out of that flower, doesn't it? We could do a gray, which might be pretty too, like soft stone. Let's just look at soft stone. You guys like the peach? Oh yeah, we do have to do a word of the day too. Definitely have to do a word of the day. Let's just look at the gray. It might make it too gray, or it might make the flowers really stand out. What do you guys think of the gray? Not sure. Peach. What do you like better, Tom? Should I do sea glass too, just to see? Because we do have sea glass in the clouds. Let's just look at sea glass. Okay, a lot of people like the gray. Here's sea glass. I think sea glass is just too bright. It is pretty because it does bring out the clouds. You immediately see the clouds, but do we really want to focus on those ratchet clouds that I made? It brings out some of the sea glass in the wood too. All right, let's go with the sea glass because I feel like we've got turquoise in here, we've got some sea glass in here, and I think it kind of pulls out the glass and the sea glass in the wood. I like the peach. I agree. I mean, the gray looked nice, but some people said it washed it out a little bit, so I'm not going to disagree. All right, so I need my big paper cutter, and we're going to go again 9 inches across. 9 inches by 6 1/4. I could have used that little flip one that I made. I didn't even think of that. My little flippy one. And then we'll score this at 4 1/2 inches. All right, Tom, while I'm scoring and trying to find things here, do you have your phrase of the day ready on standby?
Okay, phrase of the day. You asked for it. Remember, you asked for it. For this phrase of the day, I'll need a visual aid. So I have some photographs from my phone from
gosh.
2018.
Oh, no.
At that time, we were doing some work in our basement. We have a little area that's like a bar area.
Yeah, where are you? I can't see
And
you.
we were working on furnishing that. And I was out running around, I think, saving big money at Menards. And one of our local home improvement stores. And I sent her some photographs of some ideas. And so we're going to do guess the phrase of the day.
Okay.
So here's the first picture for guessing the phrase of the day. What did I send Gina? Here's some more. Phrase of the day. What did I send her?
Oh, I know what it is.
I sent her stool samples. There you go. Marge, you got it.
No. Oh, my God.
Phrase of the day. And apologies to the visually
everybody.
to the visually impaired members of our audience who had to work their way through that.
Wondering what those pictures could be.
Figure that out. And I'm going to take my stool samples and head back to the dead space.
Wow. That's very good. I like that. That was that was funny. That was funny. Oh my goodness. Well, we've already been on for an hour and a half, and I think I'm going to stop here. There's only one layout that I didn't show you, which was that double panel, which I did lay the bike on there with a greeting, and that is definitely a card that I would have made. So if you missed that, check that out in the beginning where I show you a couple little ideas using our samples that we made in the book. And then today we made this one. I definitely wanted to show you how to get that shadow box look using this. And I wanted to show you how to use the window, because I think that that's just a great die, a great piece. And then of course you can just use them plain, just using that, you know, just like you would master layouts 1 or 2, but it's the perfect size for an A6 card, adding a few images and a greeting, and you can make a very, very simple card that's easy to mail. And here is another window card with a different floral design and just a little bit of a sunset background there, more traditionally wood grain. So I'll take some pictures of these cards and I will get them both on YouTube and in our Facebook group for you guys to see. And that is Master Layouts 17. It is one of my favorites, and I don't use it enough in my card making when I go live, because I know everybody's always focused on A2 size, but I should use this more because I just think that it is just such a nice size. It gives you just a little bit of extra space. It feels a little more substantial on the fridge, sitting up on the mantle, and I think that these would just be great size for your Christmas cards and your upcoming holiday cards. So there you go. All right, Tom, it is time for us to give away a gift card.
Gift card.
But before we do, if you like today's video, and we sure hope that you have, I would just love it if you would give this video a thumbs up. And You can click the thumbs up button, also subscribe to the channel and hit all notifications so you never miss another video. And then, if you aren't a member of our Facebook group, we'd love to have you over there. It's called Gina K Designs and Stamp TV Friends. Look for the one with 49,000 members. That's us, and you can get inspired by all of the members and their beautiful Gina K Designs projects. Another shout out to Brianne Loveland. Thank you, Brianne, for all your help today with all of the links. If you missed any links, you can find these products, including Master Layout 17, on our website at ginakdesigns.com. While you're there, make sure that you click on the blog tab and click on templates and charts and download the idea sheet and the sizing sheet for Master Layout 17 and all the other master layouts too. Plus there's other documents on there that you might like, different fancy fold templates and color charts and all kinds of other fun things. All right, everybody. Well, let's give away that $15 gift card to our store. Remember, they never expire, so you can use them anytime. And yeah, you could save it for the next release, or you could go buy Master Layout 17 right now if you want.
Drum roll! Here we go! Today's winner is Carole Krawczyk. Carole Krawczyk.
Yay, Carole. Congratulations. You are our winner. All you have to do is send your name and email address to info@ginakdesigns.com, and we will get that gift card out to you. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us all week long here on my channel over at SCT and SBC. We had a lot of fun this week with all of you. Lots of fun ink blending inspiration out there, so check out some of those videos that I did on Scrapbook and Cards Today's YouTube channel and also over at scrapbook.com. Tom and I will be back next Tuesday night with another Stamp and Chat Live. And in the meantime, y'all stay safe and healthy, and we love you all so very much. And we'll see you again real soon. Bye-bye.